Hello and welcome to Hardcast, where we will absolutely not find any parallels to a certain crisis still going on today. I'm Humphrey Erm.
And I'm Christian Glass.
Lifeline. Give me Manowar Volume 10. Exodus. We begin with issue 38. Arik visits Dr. Mirage, who gets in contact with his first wife, Deidre, asking for permission to remarry. She gives it, giving Arik the courage to ask Sana to be his wife, to which she too says yes. We cut to the wedding that is about to start, a giant affair with the press and most of the Valiant universe present. They get married, kiss, celebrate, and spend their honeymoon in their home. Nothing bad happens at all. I, for one, love this issue.
Okay.
It's just sweet. I mean, there's so much melodrama in these kinds of comics. It's nice just to have something that works, you know?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this comic too.
Like, I remember the first time I read this, I was kind of like, okay, so who's going to attack?
Right.
Or who's going to get poisoned during there or whatever.
Yeah, how is this going to become the Red Wedding of Valiant?
Yeah. But is it kind of fun how then not doing something is kind of a surprise?
I don't know, because it just feels like because we're reading this as a volume, it felt like this was just the first act of like an episode or a movie. You know, so I didn't really see this as like a complete thing and just like, oh, that was nice to have like an episode or an issue where nothing bad happened. So right now I'm just like, well, yeah, and then bad things happened later. I don't know. I just felt this was it was very sweet, but it was just the first act.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. You know, I really like how you point out how the way it's presented, whether it's its own single issue or as a volume, it kind of changes how you read the whole story. Because if we were reading this, you know, issue by issue, then this definitely would have felt more like the way I was describing. Waiting a month, getting this what's called larger issue, and kind of like, all right, let's see here, and then suddenly, it's fine. Everyone's fine.
Yeah, but I also honestly am kind of wondering how happy like Valiant fans were of this issue, because it's literally a longer or a bigger issue that's just dedicated to a wedding. You know what I mean? Like I'm not sure that most comic book fans are necessarily really into the whole like wedding stuff.
I don't know. I mean, it's been used as a gimmick, what's called in the Big Two several times.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying that, like, I don't think I would be too happy about, like, well, here's my cool Exo Manowar who's fighting evil aliens and stuff like that and has this really cool suit. Oh, now there's an entire issue just dedicated to his wedding? I guess. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels kind of like, I don't know, because you have these, it's an action show, right? It's all about action and you know, fighting stuff and alien invasion and stuff like that. And then to have like an entire issue. And again, I have to keep reminding myself that people are reading these month by month, which I could just not imagine doing ever. And to think that for that entire month, all I have to go on with Exo Manowar is just like, oh, so he got married. I mean, yeah, it was a nice wedding and it's cute and it's nice, but that's not what I signed up for.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I mean, I can imagine.
I'm not saying that it's bad. Again, I'm not saying it's bad. I like it. However, I can imagine that there are a lot of people out there who are a little bit annoyed that when they get their extra double issue comic, it's just for the wedding. It's just like, well, why can't it be like an event? Why can't it be something big and something amazing? It just has to be a wedding.
Well, fans, you know, tweet us to say how you felt when you first read it. So, were you disappointed or did you like it? But on that point, I assume then, because I can remember that myself and watching like action shows on TV when I was a kid. So, like if there'd be like a Pokemon episode where there was no battle,
right?
I'd usually be a bit like, I want some battles.
Right.
So, but then as you grow older, you kind of start appreciating other things as well some more. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, I mean, it's like how we always mention about the Dragon Ball Z episodes where they weren't fighting. Those were some of my favorite episodes just because you got to know the characters a little bit more. But I know a lot of my friends hated those episodes because they didn't get their fights and their battles, and that's what they wanted. That's what they were looking forward to. That's what Dragon Ball Z is or was. It's to see these awesome fights. It's to see Goku mostly trying to get to the fight in time before too many people die, and then it's just watching Goku beat some huge villain into the ground. And then if you have to watch how Goku and Piccolo get their driver's license for an entire episode, you're just like, the fuck is this?
Well, it's more for me. It would be more about the pacing, I guess. I mean, if we're currently, watching Goku fight Frieza on Namek, I guess we wouldn't want that interrupted.
No, of course not.
But things have finished up. Like I like that. I like, for example, the pre-Majin Buu stuff, like after Cell,
Yeah.
because I think he himself was trying to do something different, like Akira Toriyama. Because you can really tell, like in the manga especially, he was like, okay, he's just going back for some more comedy stuff. And then suddenly, crap, okay, I guess people want some big bad. All right, here you go. But whatever, enough about the anime, as we tend to delve into. But what I like about this is, again, also this kind of, not world building, but yes, the whole shared universe.
Yeah.
Like, yes, Dr. Mirage, cool,
Yeah.
and the whole thing there, this is something they can do. Like, yes,
Yeah.
please. Like, I love it when in superhero worlds or any kind of, like, big universe like this, that these things are options for these characters.
Exactly.
And it's nice, sweet, and it's got to be a tricky thing too, because I don't know. It's got to be hard enough for people who aren't like him in his specific scenario, to lose a wife in any way, and then somehow find another woman, and then not sure if you're like, but is it disrespectful if I ask her to marry me? I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah.
And the whole sequence was just charming too. I mean, just the ending, the last panel.
Yeah.
It's just little things like that. That's stuff like that I hope to see, like, not all the time in the movies whenever they make them. But it's little
If they ever make them.
Well, I think they need something to make some money soon, and I think these might as well do some. But that's whole thing. It's just such a lovely scene. I mean, there he is, Exo Manowar, Auric of Dacia, painting walls. It's lovely. There's also a nice slow burn throughout this whole book. I mean, again, it has some more pages, so they kind of have a lot more real estate, but still, looking at the layout form in the PDF reader, so it's like, okay, 6 pages for that whole thing with Dr. Mirage, 6 pages for Auric asking Sana to marry him. It's like they're really taking their time, but it all feels correct. Like none of it felt too much or dragged out.
Yeah, I never felt like it was too, like it was slowed down, or the pacing was just really slow. It felt, yeah, as you said, it felt good. It felt right.
And again, just quaint little things. Like I really like how Volo is a character. I mean, again, he was a character prior too, but it's just something fun, and he has his thing. He likes cheese.
Yes.
It was just nice banter. I am told there are large displays of rare and interesting cheeses. You are told, or you demanded. Being your second is tedious, but not without advantages. I don't know, just, yes, this is so, ooh. And as we were saying, of course, I wouldn't want just this, all the time.
Yeah.
But after all the stuff he's been through, all the stuff going on, all the other stuff we've been reading, it's nice just to have something nice, calm, sweet. So I'm really glad. I'm not sure if this was like a discussion they had about, oh, should we have something happen? Like to set up the next one besides just a little, him looking out into the stars. So I'm not sure whether they had a big discussion about that or not. Like, the writer in the writing room and editor and stuff. So, but I wrote a note down though in terms of it does kind of showcase just how not quite as colorful the Valiant universe is in terms of the amount of characters and how they are. Like not yes in terms of color, but yes, as I'm saying here, seeing that little crowd shot there, we kind of see okay, there's what's called Archer. Is that Armstrong back there, or he looks a bit different? And why isn't he along with Archer?
I don't know which crowd shot you're looking at.
Oh, sorry, page 19, the first one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, it is kind of again this thing where in some other superhero things, if you have a group of superheroes, you have their uniforms on, but everyone's wearing a suit, so they don't necessarily stand out.
True.
So I mean, I think they did the right thing by just having it a generic crowd with a couple of people here and there put in, and I think that's actually the better way of doing it. I just think it would be too weird if if they made it too big of a point of all these heroes here, because then if you don't see your favorite hero, you can just assume that he's one of those, or they are one of those people in that faceless crowd there. And we don't see Faith until she's actually brought up, so it's not like a Where's Waldo frame, and I like that. It's just like, no, this is a natural kind of. It's just a crowd of people. We're putting in 2 or 3 heroes so that you recognize, so that that there are heroes here and normal people and whatever. So don't worry about it. And then we have some specific people coming here like Gilad and Archer and Armstrong and Faith, I guess, is also there, and Ninjak. I don't know who it is that he's talking to, but
it's that guy from Orb Industries from Volume 2. The guy was planting.
No idea.
Well, it's the guy who kind of like helps EXO.
Oh, the vine.
Yeah, the vine.
Yeah,
the
vine
plant.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I mean, I just noticed now. I didn't even notice when I was rereading, but looking at the page now, he's having a whole plate of chirimoyas.
What is that?
Is that fruit that he was talking about in Volume 2?
Oh, okay. Dude, how do you remember this shit?
Because it made an impact on me, Chris.
What the why?
And it was a big thing too, because he brought them up as to point out how much he loves humanity.
Oh my god,
so, like,
dude!
He tells like Ari, like,
do you read these comics more than just once?
No. I mean now I have, but
well, yeah, but I mean, like,
and I did at the time when I only had those ones, as I mentioned. So, like, I think I might have mentioned it in that special episode I recorded by myself. I was kind of stuck on these and just rereading them constantly, but I mean, not constantly, but okay, because even within that short amount of time, you could still kind of find connections here and there, and kind of like, okay. But I don't know. I guess these kinds of things I remember. It's just like Simpsons.
Yeah, maybe I'm just not a
and stuff like that.
I can't. I mean, you could literally talk to me about an episode of South Park that I watched yesterday, and I wouldn't remember direct quotes or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, that's how it goes.
Yeah, well.
But it's nice. Nice little Ninjak scene as well. Speaking of that guy.
Yeah, it was fun.
And just as what's called, and just as Arik mentions as well here when he's talking to Livewire, it's like we never see each other when it's not this stuff. When it's not the outside of blood and battle. It's just really nice. It's like I said, it's just cozy.
Yeah. And I mean, also the other stories afterwards were also kind of nice. Just quick little things, from Sana's point of view, and then from back in the day when they were together.
Not
together yet. Yeah.
Man, that locker room talk.
Yeah.
So, knowing your wife, Hafiz, I thought you'd prefer mules. Put a saddle on them and they all mount the same. I think I'm going to run for president. So, no, but it's nice. It's one of those things where it's not really necessary, any of this. But it's nice. It pads out this extra issue. It doesn't like hurt or anything. It's just nice. It's cozy. It's very...
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this one. I was happy it was an even numbered issue so I could describe it.
Well, then let's move on to the next issue. Issue 39. Disturbing Eric's sleep, a vine colony has arrived, awaiting sanctuary. The Americans overreact again and send out a squadron to intercept them. Eric tells them that this is all fine and he will deal with it. But an unstable pilot shoots a missile anyway because of how many aliens are on the ship. Eric intercepts it, but the squad leader calls out an attack and everyone fires, destroying the ship. Eric calls to his people to give aid, and after a quick resistance, they accept and help the surviving Vine. Although Capshaw has locked the weapons in Frank's plane, the guy who attacked first, he is so PTSD'd that he kamikazes himself. The Vine prepare to fire back at the remaining ships, and the issue ends.
Yeah, well, I can't blame the guy. I mean, again, he shouldn't, they should have screened him better for it in that sense. But, it's in this kind of world scenario where you have all these, aliens that have been coming out, invading you. I don't blame him for not thinking that they might have the best intentions.
Yeah, but honestly, that kind of goes back to kind of a commentary on pretty much everything in our lives. I mean, like, anything from racism to any other kind of ism. It's just like, oh, these aliens attacked once before, that means they're going to attack again. And I'm just going to shoot them before. I mean, it's like, what? It's George Zimmerman all over again.
Yeah, but I just feel in this, again, it's not to say, I mean, that's the whole point of this whole volume, really, besides the wedding issue. It's supposed to be a very, bringing up these kinds of dilemmas and how best to kind of like resolve them, as well as both sides fanning flames.
Right.
But even so, I just feel, especially considering these guys too, because it's not like it's new aliens. It's divine that, have attacked them before. They have planted their plantings amongst them.
Yeah, but they don't know that yet.
I'm not sure how many people should know that. Auric knows, Ninjak knows.
Yeah, well, but Capshaw didn't know.
That's true.
I mean, when she was talking about it, it was like, it was new information to her.
That's true.
I mean, that comes up in the next couple of issues, but yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. But even so, it just struck me there like, okay, so they never thought to, because they only kind of destroyed like the MI6 ones. So back in volume 2. So, but other than that, they didn't really do much about it. They weren't really like, okay, guys, maybe do like a, blood test of everyone or something, or however it works. But like I said, I think that's what makes this conflict nice, though, because it doesn't feel, no one really feels like they're holding the idiot ball, as I believe it's been called. Where like one side is just doing something dumb just so that the plot gets going.
Okay.
I don't feel so in this one.
Yeah, I mean, in some sense, it's kind of understandable that this pilot kind of fired at them in kind of like the worst kind of way. It might have been more believable, or like, believable is the wrong word because this kind of stuff actually does happen. But I think from a story point of view, I would have been more happy with it if it was a plantling, like a vine plantling who started it. Because then it would have felt like more of a plan instead of just, this chaos ensued because of happenstance.
So, but I like that though, because I feel that's what happens in the real world too. I mean, again, I love conspiracy stories. They're interesting, and that's kind of what we get at the end of all this, anyways.
Yeah.
But I always kind of feel it was actually like I saw some. I think it was a page from. I think it was Marvel's Champions with a guest appearance by Gwenpool. Do you know her?
Yep.
And she mentioned something about because I think the Champions are investigating some racist town or something. And then the Gwenpool, because she's just like Deadpool and like aware of like meta and stuff, she points out that no, they're obviously not racist. In all these kinds of stories, it turns out that they're being led by some bad guy, or they poisoned the water supply or something like that. And I always feel with that kind of story, while it could be interesting, it just feels kind of like it takes away blame from the people perpetuating things. So in this case here, I feel like no, it's just a very tragic scenario here, and it's very complicated. And I feel the way it's done, and as we'll see by the end, the fact that it's not resolved in a volume,
Yeah.
it just works really well. I think I love the conflict in this.
Yeah, true. This is kind of like a result of that. And I don't know if they're trying to comment on something like that, that people in the military are not screened well enough, or that the higher ups in the military just don't care. But I feel like something like this could totally have been avoided if it was just a little bit more better planned out.
Oh no, certainly. But as she will say in if it's the next issue or the one after that, so she will mention that she thought because of his experience that he would have been a good fit, rather than thinking that it'd be the opposite.
Yeah, but that's one of those things. Like, I thought that he would be a good, fit because of his experience. There was never any of this. He went through the typical therapy sessions that are required for anyone who is, within the face of death, or who has gone through something like that. I mean, that's that whole was that statistic that it's way more likely for an American firefighter to die in service than like any other country in the world, because Americans have this hero complex that they want to be a hero so badly that they will do stupid things in order to do it. I mean, they had that at the beginning of this issue. Everyone was talking about how this guy is a hero. He's invincible, all that kind of stuff. His wife thought it was totally sexy because, he's a hero. He got the Medal of Honor or whatever. But no one gives a shit about what's actually going on in his mind. And obviously he also can't tell anyone because everyone thinks he's a hero. Everyone's putting him up on a pedestal, and he can't say or become vulnerable to anyone and say like, hey, I'm having some problems processing this. I need some help. Because everyone was just like, dude, you're a hero. You're invincible. You're perfect. And then he goes and does shit like this. I mean, think if something like this was happening in the Cold War. There's so many stories about these close calls of nuclear war, and it's just like, what if one of those guys was just, had his trigger finger over the button and had some sort of episode and it's just like, whoops.
Yeah, no, certainly. But again, it works as a story. Like, there's no... Again, it's because that's what I mean with the whole, like, idiot ball concept.
Yeah.
I can't think of a good example right now, but it's... I've always noticed it myself in some stories where... Like, I think one of the bigger ones, even though I still feel it works as a story, is the whole countdown to Infinite Crisis in the DC Comics.
Never read it.
Okay. It was just the whole thing where Ted Kord, the Blue Beetle, is like he knows that there's someone like siphoning funds from his company. So, and it's not sure what it's going for. And
I thought Blue Beetle was a teenager.
No. That's the new one that comes out of Infinite Crisis.
Okay.
So, superhero comics. No, but the whole thing there is that he goes to everyone, like including Batman and stuff, and like mentions it, like, he brings up a valid concern. And in order for the story to work, all the Justice League members have to basically be douchebags and not listen to him. Again, like, as you're like, but why? You're like, Batman, why would you, you should take this seriously. Why wouldn't you?
Right.
And same thing with everyone else that he does. So, and it's necessary because they wanted him then to be alone when he's then, spoilers for everyone. So when he's then killed by Maxwell Lord. So, because it wouldn't have worked otherwise, because then they'd all help together, figure it out, and fix it all. But the scene itself, and like the whole feeling I had reading it, besides, the other heroes not listening to him, that was nice, because I did like it felt like they'd really wanted to make it more of this like noir detective thing as he's trying to figure it out. And that would have been lost if all these people with, superpowers helped all the time. But that's where it gets tricky with a shared universe, when there's all these people that could help or do things better or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, this was a good start to the actual story of the volume. Anything else on this, or?
No, not really. I mean, it's pretty much just that one battle. I love how they had to call the next issue Uncivil War. Couldn't call it Civil War anymore.
What what's called? Did Disney copyright that too?
I don't know. Did he?
Nah, no, probably can't. I mean, they did try to copyright the Day of the Dead. So likely that didn't happen.
That's not good. Yeah.
Issue 40. We go all the way back to Volume 3, where we see Commander Trill on the verge of death, only to be saved by vine plantings. We then return to the cluster duck that is the Vine refugee crisis, with Exo Manowar grounding the human jets. There's a tense ceasefire, with the Vine having their few but powerful ships in orbit ready to shoot, should they come to harm. Meanwhile, we see that Commander Trill is indeed still alive and bossing the plantings around, killing one of them for suggesting to coexist with the human. And he orders one of the planting soldiers on site to shoot Arik's wife Sana, who he has on target. So this I like, because as I mentioned before about like villains, like not in this podcast but prior, because they keep killing their villains, they don't have any good like recurring ones.
Yeah.
It's nice to see her like, yes, finally, someone survived.
Yeah, at least for a while.
That's just cool. It's just because this is kind of typical stuff. Like that guy we killed earlier, he didn't really die.
Right. I mean, that's the whole thing. If you don't see, like, if the body isn't like decapitated or burnt or something like that, then he never assumed that they're actually dead.
Exactly. Yeah, that works. I mean, it's well done too in terms of reminding us that he exists.
Mm-hmm.
Like assuming that if we ignore the lack of pages, if we skip those 3 first ones, like let's assume for whatever reason they just they're missing 3 pages in this issue. If they were just to reveal him then, would it have been stronger? Or if they maybe interplace those panels after he's introduced, would that be more of a shock, more of like oh, Commander Trill's alive?
Yeah, well, maybe to someone who pays attention like that, I would not have remembered who that was.
So the way it was done here would be better for you then, because it kind of...
Well, of course, because I had no idea who Commander Trill... I didn't even know what freaking fight they were in. I thought this was another one of those, like... It says months ago. I just assumed this was... I don't remember that they fought in Manhattan.
Yeah, it's after...
Yeah, I know. You just said it in the little introduction thing, but still, I don't remember that. When I was reading these first 3 pages, I was just like, all right, I guess this happened. I didn't know I read this before. And honestly, if you think about it, this was what you said, volume 3?
Yeah.
So it would have been like, what, issue 11, 12, something like that?
Yeah, it would have been one of those, yeah.
Yeah, think about it. That's over a year. Oh, no, close. Sorry, I'm wrong. Yes, it was almost 2.5 years between then and now. I mean, this is what, issue 40?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it happened in issue 10. So that's like 30 issues in between. So I doubt many people would remember who Commander Trill is.
No, he made an impact on me, so I liked him.
Yeah, but you're weird. I don't know. How can you remember this kind of shit? It's so... How do you remember this?
It's cool. I remember cool things.
Man, I don't even remember names. I mean, I think it's such a great thing that we actually now write down all the... Like, we actually make these summaries so that I can actually write down the names and I remember the names then for the podcast.
Yeah, no, I agree, Chris. It's too much to ask that you remember the names. No, but it's nice. And again, it's the whole volume I feel is paced very well because the tension is high all the time.
Mm.
And unlike some volumes I feel we've had where you were like one of the middle issues would kind of feel like, oh, okay, this was just an extension of this thing. So I felt this worked much better in terms of just setting up like what's called the drama and just the suspense.
Yeah.
Because again, here we get the whole conspiracy angle, with that Trill is trying to create, this conflict. So, which again, it makes sense. He doesn't care for humans. He'll kill his own people just to get this going, so he can then like get everyone on board to just killing all the humans.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, I like the fact that a lot of the plantings don't agree. So just the way the guy says there, just I don't know, just interesting. I feel that no, dude, we're taking over, but we want to do it peacefully.
Mm.
I mean, how would that work? Like, if none of this stuff has been happening, like if everything went according to plan for Divine, would they just suddenly one day, oh, by the way, like 10% of the whole world is us? Or
Wasn't that the whole like lizard people conspiracy?
I don't know. I never really looked into that one. It always sounded so silly too silly. So, but I don't know. But I don't know anything about that in terms of what those conspiracy theorists believe.
Yeah.
But there's been some conspiracies that have been turned out to be true. So who knows?
Oh.
Hmm?
Oh.
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, like that one. What's that writer? What that writer who said he was like in the 50s or something. There was a writer who went crazy, like saying that the CIA was like listening in on him. And it turned out in declassified documents, decades later, that yes, indeed, they were, listening in on him.
Oh, so you mean boring conspiracy
Oh
theories?
yeah.
Nothing substantial like aliens or.
Well,
Sasquatch.
We don't know yet. Now, the Sasquatch stuff seems to be mostly as people who have invested way too much like money and time into it. So when you have the guy who filmed the famous video saying downright that it was fake, then there was people being like, "Oh, they weren't fool me."
Yeah.
So, well, whatever. But either way, it's just interesting. I feel like I like the fact that they want to coexist because they actually like living as humans.
Well, yeah. I mean, you kind of get used to that kind of lifestyle, and you're just like, yeah, this is nice. This is okay. I feel safe. I have a job, and I'm contributing to society, and you become placated.
Exactly. As you should be. So no, but just a nice issue.
Yeah, with a horrible little cliffhanger.
Yeah, no, that would have been intense. I mean, again, it's plenty of things could happen as we'll see next issue, but it's still like oh, nice. Like that's really ooh.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess she's gonna die, and then we're gonna that was the whole wedding thing. Let's push that, make them happier, as happier as possible, and then let's ruin it.
Exactly. That's called storytelling.
Well, should I continue on to then issue 41?
Yes.
Issue 41. Before Soldier Boy could take the shot, our cliffhanger is solved by the gateship arriving. Trill is pissed, of course, and tells him to get another opportunity or else. So Capshaw, the Vine, and Eric all talk about stuff and agree to a truce. But as they shake hands, Soldier Boy shoots the Vine Captain and the priest. Eric rushes to stop Soldier Boy, but before he can do much else, Soldier Boy gives his message, name drops Trill, and offs himself. When Eric rushes back to the dying priest, the Vine see and without question immediately activate the awaiting fleet.
Again, just continuation of a story. I mean,
yeah,
that's where it's kind of tricky reading them as well. As I've said, it's why I don't want to read these issue by issue or like review them issue by issue. Because what would we say really here, right?
Yeah, it was just like, yeah, the story continued and they came. And I mean, I feel like the whole truce talk there was a little bit unnecessarily long, I guess. I mean, it was just kind of boring in that middle there, especially because it didn't nothing kind of came out of it. It was just more of a kind of a dramatic irony on our point of view. We're just like, hey, they came up to a truce and then, oops, suddenly they're shot.
Oh, no, certainly. But even so, it's there's some fun in it too. I mean, they kind of simplify things in terms of the fact that they can understand English, but they can't speak it. So it's not they don't have
Yeah,
to have as much of an explanation of how they understand each other.
which is also weird that when um, Eric translated the whole thing, when it's like he says you're welcome.
Well, he's just trying to keep things civil.
I know, but it's just kind of like, why would you say that when you know that they can understand what you're saying?
Well, that's true. I didn't think about that. I don't know. Maybe they think it's some weird Earth custom.
Hmm.
But it's nice, just the whole talking there, and then the usual thing there in terms of, which is usually the thing done with when it's like an alien refugee kind of issue,
Hmm.
which is surprisingly common in superhero comics. I remember that happened in during this arc in the Superman. Let's see, it was this whole thing when he was grounded because after something had happened, he decided to walk America. So just walking, yeah, just walking. He's not flying to kind of like get back to
Okay
his
then.
roots.
Okay then.
I mean, honestly, I don't mind it too much. I mean, a lot of people complain about it, and there's definitely issues.
And I would walk 5,000 miles, and
Oh
I
man, if they
would
ever
walk
if they ever
5,000.
filmatized that arc, I hope they use that song.
No, they'd use that song from they'd use that song from the Incredible Hulk TV show,
Oh yes.
like the ending theme, just to mess with fans. To be like, we're using a Marvel song in a DC movie. Ah,
Ah,
screw you, fanboys.
that'd be nice. But either way, that's what happens there in one issue where he comes across some alien refugees. But this is the whole thing that he's Superman's being really weird, and it's not clear whether the writer intended it to be weird or if he just thought this was a good idea. But basically, Superman, despite being an illegal immigrant himself,
Yeah.
basically decides to okay, he wants to send them back. And basically, they're even trying to offer no, look, we brought gold. So yeah, but what can you guys provide us? Or I don't know, it's really awkward.
It feels like the writer has some sort of illegal immigrant problems. They were just like, I'm gonna have Superman talk for me.
Well, again, that's what the people always are worried whenever certain writers write certain characters. I mean, that one guy who wrote the Ender's Game. I
Mm.
mean,
Oh yeah,
he
yeah,
was going to write Superman at one point, but then a lot of complaints because he's very anti-gay.
yeah.
Again, I was assuming he wouldn't have him Superman go around and say, "And remember, kids, it's not okay."
Mm.
I doubt he would do that,
But
but it's just the idea that
well,
it's him.
yeah. Well, there's also this thing about separating the artist from the art, because a lot of artists, and this is not only like artists as in like painters and comic drawers and stuff like that, but any kind of artist. Um, I feel like it's easy to kind of move away from the artist and just appreciate the art with a lot of things, except for writing,
Mm.
because there's so much of the writing is like in the is like in the story. So because you take from your own experience, you do all this kind of stuff, and yeah, like the guy from Ender's Game. I mean, he could have easily come up with some sort of scenario that was very anti-gay, even as like a metaphor or whatever. Or yeah, if you're totally against refugees, you write a story like this where an alien race comes to Earth and seeks sanctuary and isn't given it, and or they are given it and then they just use it as a way to get in and kill people and stuff like that. Like I personally, I really don't like Chris Pratt. Like some of the things he said about hunting and stuff like that just does not fit well with me. And but still, I can still watch like Parks and Rec and stuff like that because he's just the actor. But I feel like if I was really into his, like if he was a writer and he was giving his ideas and putting out his ideas on paper and I'm reading these, I don't think I could read any more of his writing. But because it's just an actor, it's like, oh, I can still like you as an actor, even though I don't necessarily like you as a person.
No, but I can understand what you mean. I guess it's like writer director. That's kind of the thing there. Like the
Yeah, well, even directors, I mean, they also kind of just follow the script more or
yeah,
less.
but they can even tilt it. So maybe if the writer has a certain like aim at it, the way
Mm.
they film it, it could be like yeah, sure, we will follow the script. We'll just make
Yeah,
sure.
it's like that whole Jews thing that we were talking about.
We better explain that before people start worrying.
No, we were talking about this joke that Louis C.K. made about that the insulting term for a Jewish person is also the correct term for a Jewish person. So you can say a person's a Jew, but if you add some stank to it, it becomes an insult. And that's what I mean. Like, you know, if you write, you know, this man was a Jew, an actor can say, yes, this man is a Jew, or the actor could say, this man is a Jew.
And in a comic,
And
they
you
would
have
be
just
bold.
right. They would be bolded or italicized, you know, added some swastikas, you know, that kind of stuff.
Coincidence, pure coincidence.
All right.
Ah,
So, yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, yeah. So, but I think something like this, yeah, should be fine. So the for the vine, do you think that was intentional? That line for the vine,
where?
right at the first or the second page.
Oh yeah, what about it?
Or do you think that was intentional, like a reference or whatever?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that's just what you kind of say, like, for the Republic, for the what?
Yeah, I know, but you know, it's been when Vine still existed.
I doubt it.
What?
I mean, if they,
Oh, you never. Well, because it's a famous thing that all these like I don't know, it just felt so weird because like a lot of these click whores or click what do you call them? What do you call them? Like people who just do stuff so they get views or clicks or whatever. Well, no, it's not. They're not clickbait. They're the people who are whores for their clicks.
all right, well,
I don't know.
click fishers then.
Yeah, whatever. Those people. They would do like these stupid stunts, like, you know, slap police officers or whatever, and then before it, they would always shout, "Do it for the vine."
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Oh yeah. Well, that was like a thing. They would kind of excuse their shitty behavior by kind of shouting out before they did something stupid that they're just doing it for the vine. And I don't know, I just felt kind of like he's ready to shoot, right? He's ready to like basically start an international incident, and then he shouts, or he's all about like for the vine. I don't know. I just kind of, I don't know. I felt that was amusing, and I chuckled at it.
I mean, could possibly be, maybe what's called, maybe the writer likes Vine. I don't know, but I don't know. It's honestly, I kind of wish so that then while Vine existed and was like big, then people would have made the like Vines about this. Like Valiant was popular enough to be on Vines.
Yeah.
So that would be something like that, like for the Vine, and it'll cut to the panel here or something for the Vine.
All right.
So I don't know, it's a cool thing, and again, the usual kind of scary thing, just like with the Secret Invasion and Marvel. You just have like, oh crap, they look just like us. So, but yeah, no, it works well. I mean, again, then it's dramatic. I like the turn of events, because he couldn't kill his wife, he went for the priest instead.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, it's nice. Though I got a question here. I mean, again, it works within. Like, I don't feel it was like stupid or something. But was it smart for the planting to mention Trill will see you soon? And mentioning that he was what's called Vine?
Yes. Yes, of course.
Was it smart?
Yes.
Because I'm just thinking he's now going to be looking for this stuff. If he had just pretended to be a normal human, then it would just feel like it'll just continue stuff here, and the Divine would be blameless.
Yeah, but isn't that the whole thing? I mean, you kind of bring this confusion into people, and then they start fighting themselves.
Oh, in terms of the whole,
it's about divide and conquer. Yeah, it's about divide and conquer.
I suppose in that way, but I don't know. I mean, I like it. It's not really a complaint. It's just me thinking about, was this really the best choice of action?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, at some point, you have to announce yourself. I mean, it's been months since Trill has been able to recover and everything like that. So it's not like he still needs plan. He has a planning phase. I mean, at some point he's going to do something big and be discovered anyway. But this way, he can already, before he even makes his huge debut, he can get like the military or gate at least start to be like confused and unsure about who is who, and it will start getting uncomfortable within the organization. No one's going to be able to trust each other. You're going to have rankings are going to go awry. Everything's going to be, because that's the whole thing. Like, everything's built on trust, and if you can't trust the guy next to you, what are you going to do?
Yeah, no, true. I get it. I don't know. It's I like the turn of events either way, but
yeah, me too. It was much better that a vine was killed instead of a human. A dirty vine.
Yeah. Well, they all look alike.
I also just love the irony of the fact that that plantling spat in Exo's face and insulted him with bug lover. Or was that the one before? I think that was the issue before.
Yeah, it was the issue before, but yeah.
Yeah, but I just love that. Bug lover.
And the Oscar goes to...
Yeah.
Nah, that's fun. All right, then. Off to the next issue then, I guess. Because, as we were saying, yes, there isn't really much more to discuss besides just being pedantic about specifics. Issue 42. The Vine Priest is dying. The Vine ships are firing upon human ones who are retaliating. Everything is a mess. At the behest of his wife, Arik speaks to the priest through the Vine mind space, and after some advice from him, he comes between the two opposing forces and threatens to side with whoever gets shot at first. That makes them stand down, if temporarily. Commander Trill isn't satisfied, but he buys his time, while Arik tells Capshod of what must be done, referring to an Exo Manowar Ninjak team-up next volume.
And so, he has become a Trill Seeker.
Oh,
come on, that was a good one. I almost pissed myself when I thought of that.
Oh dear.
I'm alone in my apartment right now. My girlfriend is back home, and I was giggling to myself in my office, and I just couldn't stop laughing. It's just like, I have to add this in here. I'm sorry. Trill Seeker.
Hilarious.
Okay. All right, let's continue.
So, yeah, no, I liked it too. But yeah, no, it's just nice. I mean, again, it's the tension that's been rising from the get-go is, has overflown. And, just getting crazy here. Both sides attacking, both sides feeling justified. But I do like the solution. It's not this whole, why can't we be friends? But rather,
Kumbaya, my lord.
Yeah, but rather, okay, whoever attacks first, I'll defend the other guy, and that'll kill you guys.
Yeah, I feel like that was the best solution ever, and especially for someone with his power set, where it's so obvious that the team with him on their side is going to win. It's such a smart idea, because then you literally have, it's like that thing where whoever punches first is in the wrong. And I just love that, because so much shit happened, but now he stands in between. He's like, all right, anyone who shoots first are going to have to feel my wrath. And it's just like, yeah, no one wants to do that. No one wants to be the one who shoots first. And thank God that other guy already killed himself, because otherwise I know how it would have ended.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I love that page, page 18, after he gives his ultimatum.
Mm.
It's just nice. It's again, it's nothing like amazing, but the symmetry, the two sides,
Yeah. Yeah.
it works well. So I mean, that's the thing too. I mean, I guess like isn't that was it what's it called? Was it Roosevelt who had a quote like that about it was something like about the bigger stick. Like you always got to make sure you have a bigger stick than the bad guys or something.
Mm.
In terms of
That sounds familiar, but I'm not sure.
yeah, I can't remember the specifics of the quote. But that's kind of thing, what's called with Exo Manowar saying he'll support whoever is the one being attacked. They'll have the bigger stick, so that's like the perfect deterrent in this situation. I don't know, just nice. And again, as I said before too, it's because I remember the first time I was reading it, I was thinking that because most of the
Oh,
volume,
it's yeah, it was sorry, it was Roosevelt.
so I was right.
Yeah, he said the first known use of the phrase occurs in a private letter from Roosevelt to Henry Sprague. Roosevelt wrote in A Bout of Happiness after forcing New York's Republican committee to pull support away from the corrupt financial advisor. I have always been fond of the West African proverb, speak softly and carry a big stick. You will go far.
That's the one. That's the one. Oh, it's African. Okay, cool.
Well, West African, yes.
But yeah, that's kind of thing there. You have to have this power behind you. As much as I like to see myself as very like
agreeable.
Yes, we had a discussion about that.
We had a very lengthy discussion yesterday.
But that's the thing, sure, it's nice when things can be, fixed and, just settled without violence. But you have to hope then that the people, at least who are somewhat good, are then the ones with this big stick, so to speak.
I mean, that is also a very martial artist kind of view as well. I mean, like I'm a huge Bruce Lee fan, and like not the movies, the philosophy, and he talks also a lot about be humble and just like this speak softly, but then also have that power to reinforce that view if challenged, in the sense of like if gotten too far, then you need to be able to defend your point, or kind of defend yourself if it comes to it.
Exactly. But then the question becomes who is the one with the bigger stick.
Right.
But yeah, it's just a nice sort of, because again, as I was trying to say before as well, before you mentioned the whole quote there, because most of these volumes have kind of, even if they continue into the next volume, the main conflict's usually solved. Like first volume, he escapes the vine. Second volume, he kills a lot of plantings. Third volume, he attacks the vine planet.
Mm.
But in this case here, like, no, it's all, there's nothing's really solved. It's just another tense, ceasefire. I like that, because I was very worried when I first read it that it would all be completed in one volume. And I was like, oh man, how are they going to solve this? So I'm glad it wasn't solved. So, and I'm looking forward to the next Exo Manowar volume then.
Yeah, me too. I mean, a Ninjak team up is going to be amazing.
It's going to be nice, because it'll be like, the opposite of, it'll be the same as the last issue of volume 2. So I can't remember what I thought of it when I read it. So art-wise, Rafa Sandoval has done an amazing job, I feel.
Nice Spanish on that name.
Thank you. Thank you, amigo.
Don't you mean gracias?
Gracias.
Gracias. Sorry, I'm not that good with the pronunciation.
I like mispronouncing things.
Of the Espagna. Yeah, but this was, I mean, just not only a very solid issue, but a really solid volume. I was a little bit disappointed when I found out that there was going to be like basically an extra issue in this because of the double issue first issue. Yeah. I mean, this was like 170 pages, this volume.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, we were reading these as separate issues because I never bought the volume.
But
So I didn't see the final like page count.
yeah, but it was like one of those things where I kind of just flew through it because it was so good, like it was so gripping. And again, I'll say it again, and I'll say it many times still. I cannot believe that people would read these month by month. Like this story just felt so good. Like the way that it was just kind of, the way that I was reading it and just the way it flowed was just so perfect to be read as a volume. Just absolutely perfect.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, they are written for the trade.
I know, but I'm just saying that they're not published. They're not published as a trade in that sense. It really is like they're expecting you to read them. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously we're not at a level where we can be all like, well, why don't they just publish volumes instead of issues and then not worry about it? Because obviously, if we've had that thought, much smarter people who actually work in the industry have also had that thought, and there's a reason why it's not been implemented. A reason that we probably just don't know or don't realize yet if we don't have the actual numbers ahead in front of us. But yeah, I'm just saying that I just feel this is the way to read it. It's just so good.
Oh no, certainly. So that's the thing. And again, I think they made a good choice with Exo Manowar being their like sort of flagship character for this reboot. So because he wasn't in the original series or like the original Valiant.
Okay.
I mean, again, he was early on enough. It's not like he was like a latecomer. But like Harbinger came out before him, and then those other ones, as I mentioned, like Magnus Robot Fighter, which they don't have now.
Yeah.
Rai, as I mentioned, was the first character who was like very late in this reboot, funnily enough. But it works because I think, at least I'm guessing most of the credit has to be given to Robert Venditti, really. So since I'm assuming he's the one who's just had most hands on this character now. But it just nice, good use of sci-fi. The whole mix with the history aspect as well. And again, from the volumes we've had, it's been a good. I mean, this honestly could have worked as sort of like a TV show kind of thing as well.
Yeah, but then again, all of these stories could be a TV show. I mean, there's so many. I mean, TV nowadays has changed so much that I'm pretty sure any comic can be made as a TV show.
True.
So I mean, I don't think that's
like an animated series in terms of there's like each episode is just like a new monster of the week.
Yeah,
and I just feel like they've done a good job with this here. Like I'm kind of imagining in my head right now like a _90s series of this. So like in the sort of like the old like X-Men animated series in the style.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just kind of like, just the adventures of, of course it would be a bit sanitized, of course. Not too violent.
Yeah, a guy wouldn't kill himself.
Well, no, he just like teleport himself away to and never be seen again.
No, it would be like he'd have the gun up to his head and then Capshaw would just save him or something like that. And then he'd be...
Oh, that sounds too gritty.
Yeah,
no,
okay.
It'll be like that, the fake 4Kids version of Death Note. So the Disappear Note. I love that so much. I honestly would have loved to see them edit it. Whenever everyone gets their heart attacks, they just kind of like, phase out of existence. So, but I don't know. It's just like a nice, solid volume. So I like Exo Manowar.
Oh yeah, me too.
He's the backbone to Valiant. All right then.
All right, well, you can discuss this episode on Reddit, tweet us, or you can follow us on Facebook. Also, all of our episodes are available on our hosting site, Podbean. Links are in the show notes. Catch us next time for...
Book of Death.
Oh, okay. That's it. That's it.
Yes. Looking forward.
Yeah, me too.